Ahoy, ahoy to all you smooth sailors out there, and welcome aboard the Deck Tales podcast. I'm your host and captain, Sammy Catlin, and this is the show where we set sail into the captivating world of ship life. Most of the time, delving into the best and worst experiences of the incredible crew members who call the open sea their workplace, but I'm open to the odd exception as well. Whether we're navigating stunning destinations to weathering unexpected storms, our guests all have stories to tell that will make you laugh, gasp, and maybe even shed an unexpected tear. So if you're a seasoned cruiser, eagerly awaiting your next embarkation, or just curious as to what goes on at sea, Deck Tales is your boarding pass to a world of nautical narratives. My guest today, and sorry to announce the last one for a few weeks, is the wonderful Emma Latisse, or as she's more commonly known, Emma Cruises, one of the internet's favourite cruise content creators. I reached out to Emma over social media as a video of hers regarding the charity Mercy Ships caught my attention, and so I simply had to learn more about it from her. Alongside this, Emma told me all about how she started her cruise vlogging journey, the money she's helped to raise thanks to a certain Captain Hudson, her new company, the Cruise Maps, and much, much more. She's an absolute legend for the work that she's been doing, and I'm so grateful that she agreed to be a guest on the show. So let's anchor up and dive right in. Hello, Emma.
Hello, thanks for having me. Nice to talk to you properly.
Yes. Oh, it's good to see you. I had to get in touch when I saw that video you posted of Mercy Ships.
Yes.
When I saw that, I was like, oh my God. I thought I knew a lot about the cruise ship and the shipping industry in general, but I didn't know that existed.
Me neither. Up until maybe a couple of years ago, I was listening to a podcast completely unrelated to cruising, and I heard someone mention that they'd volunteered on something called Mercy Ships, and I thought, it's kind of interesting. I'll do a bit of research, and then, I was off in Sierra Leone recently.
Well, let's get into you first, and then we'll come back to Mercy Ships, because I jumped the gun massively there.
Correct.
That's just a kind of like a preliminary into why I reached out to you.
Sounds good.
But so, where are you based? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, so I'm in Sussex, down on the south coast of England.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What sort of area in Sussex?
Do you know Brighton?
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Brighton, yeah.
There you go.
We all know Brighton.
You say
Brighton,
that, but
Albion.
I'm so used to majority of my audience are in America, so I'm used to saying
Right.
the south coast of England.
Yeah. I mean, I just spent the last 2 weeks down in Devon.
Oh, nice.
And it was beautiful down there. Last couple of weeks have been really, really good. We've been very fortunate.
Yeah.
And I went down to Devon week before last to help a friend with a short film for his uni project.
Nice.
Which is about zombies, and I was
Right,
running
fun.
away from them. That was really good fun, actually. We was running all over the place, and we was in like tunnels, dressed up, and I was
wow.
not dressed up.
That sounds cool.
But it was beautiful weather. And then the next week, we went back to Devon, but on the opposite side of the moors.
Okay.
And me, my mum, her boyfriend, my sister, her husband, and my nan. We took my nan down there for a whole week.
Nice.
We rented this house, and we took my nan all around because that's the place where she got evacuated to when she was 4 years old.
Oh, interesting.
So she hadn't been there since then, and we had such a lovely week. We literally did not stop, except for the middle of the week when it hammered it down.
Yeah.
So that was like let's just chill indoors today. And we only went out, and we obviously had to go out and get a cream tea at some point to sample that famous Devonshire cream.
Yeah. Well, you picked a pretty good week. I mean, it feels pretty nice at the moment, right? So, no, that sounds lovely.
So because it's nice at the moment, you're not like pining to get back into the Caribbean or somewhere.
I wouldn't go that far. But everything's just better with blue skies, isn't it? It just, it just makes everything better. I don't care if it's cold or hot. I just like the sky to be blue. It's just a bit sad when it gets dark at 4 p.m. So I'm happy.
Well, it was so unprecedentedly. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think so.
Unprecedentedly nice.
Yeah.
The last few weeks. And it's April, so we're like, hang on a minute. Well, I want my money back. Where's my April showers? Which
No, I don't.
Americans, it's like, we're always getting lots of rain in April. That's why they refer to it as April showers. But
Yeah.
it's been bloody good recently.
Yeah, I'm
So-
happy.
You're down in Brighton. Are
Hmm.
you a Brighton local, born and raised?
Yeah, I grew up slightly further along the coast, but yeah, I've always lived on the south coast of England. You know,
Yeah.
I sort of went to
No,
University of Brighton, stuck around here. Don't know if I'll be here forever, but for now, it's great to go. Southampton's very close. I'll cruise port, cruise a lot, go into London, so it works.
yeah, yeah. No, you're well placed being on the coastline, especially as a cruise enthusiast.
Exactly.
Very much landlocked, but a couple cruise ships come into London now and again. In fact, a few years ago, one of the ships I worked on back in 2009 just happened to be in the Thames as I was passing it.
Oh wow.
And I was like, "Oh, that's my old ship." And I was there for a good 4 months or so, I think.
Okay.
And I went up the gangway and I said to the security guard, "Hi, I used to work on the ship. I was just wondering if I could nip on board, say hello, see if there's any crew on board that might,
Yeah.
be about." And it was just a flat out no.
No.
No,
I think they have to know
no
so far
way.
in advance, don't they?
Yeah, but it was one of those things where
It
it
was
just
worth a
happened to
go.
be there, so
Yeah.
it was worth a go. Yeah, but it was an exclusive ship, Emma. It was like $1,000 a night. It was one of the Silver Sea ships.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, I've not cruised with Silversea. More of a budget cruiser myself, but I can imagine.
Well, hopefully we'll get up a tax bracket one day and we'll be able to get on those ships because they're next level. When I stepped on board that ship for the first time, the welcome aboard reception was like, here's a glass of proper champagne. Help yourself to
Yeah.
prawns that are as big as your head with seafood sauce. Would you like some Parma ham? Yes, I would.
Yeah,
And
whatever you can think
I
of.
said the guy who was carving it, who was English guy, he was the only other English guy on board at the time. And we hit it off straight away. And I said, "Oh, you carving up some Parma ham?" He's like, "Yeah, you want some?" I was like, "Oh, be rude not to."
Yeah.
And I think he just I've never had Parma ham carved so thick.
Wow. Liked you.
I don't know how we got on this, but hey, let's move on. Let's go back to you. It's lunchtime. I'm hungry. That's why I got on to that.
Oh, I see.
So, a little bit about yourself, Emma. I'm not the best person to say about what it is you do because you're you. You're
And I'm
your
here.
best introductory host, and you're here. All I can say is that you're a cruise blogger. You've got a new company that I'm excited to hear a bit more about, and
do.
you've done some wicked videos, I have to say. So, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm very lucky in that I was on my first cruise when I was 11 years old. So my gran took me on that cruise. It wasn't a decision that I made, I had no preconceived ideas about cruises because I was 11, and I just thought it was great fun. So as I grew up, I just knew cruising was a fun thing. And when I started going on holidays by myself, I went on cruises, and then I started to sort of speak to, colleagues and friends and realized that they have some really weird ideas about cruises. Like some of my friends thought that you'd have to, have communal toilets on each deck, that kind of thing. They didn't know each cabin had its own bathroom now. So I sort of thought, I don't know what I thought. I just started a hobby website way back in 2016, with the aim just being, just for other people who are considering a cruise and they're a bit nervous, just to sort of walk them through it, a kind of try before you buy thing. And I started making YouTube videos a bit later. It's just easier to show things sometimes rather than type them. And yeah, now I've been doing all kinds of weird things. We raise money for this charity called Mercy Ships that you mentioned. I've launched a new company called the Cruise Maps, and we have the Cruise Globe, which is a new website everyone can use. So very busy. We write books as well now, Captain Hudson books, and yeah, I very much
Captain Hudson.
Captain Hudson books, yeah. So these toys, these are the ones that we made for charity for Mercy Ships, and we've raised last count is 181,000 US dollars, which is insane.
Which is bloody, yeah. Sorry, as you were saying that number, I was about to ask, can we see Captain Hudson up close?
Well, the real
But
cat is here.
yeah, sorry.
He's gone now, and he's an old man. So if he wishes to return, he shall. But you can't get a cat to do anything, really, can you? So he's just gone out the cat flap.
So he's a stuffed cat, right?
Well, Hudson is my real cat. He used to come on the live streams I used to do on my YouTube channel, and at some point, someone called him Captain Hudson. Where is Captain Hudson? And so I wanted to do something for charity, and I'd already done 2 charity head shaves. I did some really long walks, really painful ones. And I thought, I don't want to do anything that's going to physically hurt me. Right. And I thought, if I can do something where people get to have something, that's even better. So there's thousands of these cats out there now. People take them on cruises. They take pictures of him. He's got this cat, honestly, I'm so jealous of this cat's life. He's on, I don't know, so many cruises right now. People will take him to Disneyland and share pictures, which is cute. And it's so nice because people will recognize him and they'll say, oh, I met someone in embarkation line because I noticed that they had a Captain Hudson in their backpack or something like that. And it's cute. And people are spreading the word about Mercy ships. So it's all good fun.
Oh, that's amazing. So I'm guessing, I'm going to go out on a limb here, the books you're writing with Captain Hudson as the protagonist are designed for children.
Yes, so it was just seeing everyone giving the cat these adventures. I thought we could, there's so much potential there. And I met an author years and years ago when I was on a cruise, and he suggested to me then, you should do Captain Hudson books. I never thought about it again. I thought, I don't know how to do that. But we write them together. So I have ideas. He writes them in how you properly write a book. So I have no clue. I don't have kids. I don't know what kids' books are like. And he sort of makes it good. But in the stories, Captain Hudson, obviously a cat. All of the people that work on the ships are different animals, and only kids go on the ships. And obviously Captain Hudson saves the day because he's great. But that's so much fun. So not something I expected when I started a cruise YouTube channel, that I'd be talking about these cats. But it's great.
That sounds like a great premise. The idea of it being a fully staffed crew that are animals. The captain is Captain Hudson. He saves the day because obviously he's the main character.
Yeah.
But the only guests are children.
Children, yeah. So children.
It's sounding a bit like this is, what's coming to mind?
No adults.
Pinocchio. Pleasure Island.
Kind of, yeah. But nothing, no scary donkeys or anything like that on it. But kind of. So, they always have to, something happens, and spoiler alert, Captain Hudson saves the day because he's smart and kind and he's great.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that
keeps
wicked.
me busy.
Are you adapting it for a live action? I
haven't thought about it yet. Haven't thought about it yet, but never say never, because I think it would be great. It would be a really good TV show. It's interesting because I self-published these books because I had a lot of conversations with publishers who said, we're not convinced about children that they cruise. And I'm like, just look at the numbers of children that go on cruises. It's millions every single year. So, interesting.
Well, I think it's starting to get to the point again, because obviously since COVID, they shut down for a few years. Now they're kind of back up to capacity, and kids have got more to do on board now than they ever had before COVID. Sure. Especially, it's just the last few years. It seems incredible. Like, I think a lot of companies took the time over COVID to reassess how they were going to market more to the younger demographic.
Yeah,
and from some of the people I've been speaking to over recent weeks, they've all been telling me like, now the Starlink is in effect and more people are able to get online on board, which is a big selling point, especially for the younger cruisers. So now they're kind of like, I can get on and I can do my work and whatever whilst I'm on holiday. That's a big selling point.
Yeah.
But so you cruise avidly as a fan, vlogger, you're kind of like, you're living the dream in many people's realities, because you're getting paid to go on these ships and review stuff. And
I mean, it's not a job to go on the actual cruise part, but the content I create from a cruise is what funds my business. There's very different parts of my business. A big part is the cruise maps part that we talked about before. So we have partnerships with different cruise lines. So I'll go on board and check out how Cunard's displaying our maps and that kind of stuff. But it's kind of like, I always had a traditional 9-to-5 office job before this. I, studied maths. I worked in data development, nothing to do with cruising, complete opposite. But now my office, it can be anywhere pretty much, thanks to, it's a very good time, thanks to the internet. There's certain things, that I need I need a good computer to edit on and things like that, but I can keep my business going and doing my Zoom calls and everything while I'm on board. So yeah, very grateful. If I look back to, my first cruises when I was a kid, I never had access to the internet or in any of the ports because you couldn't roam in the same way, and I was playing Pac-Man with actual coins in the arcade. So it's changed a lot. But yeah, I got back from Norwegian Aqua most recently, and I thought if I was 11, like I loved cruising when I was 11, and this is so much cooler.
What's the coolest thing you've seen on board in terms of if you was a kid now, what would you flip out the most for?
So I did the Aqua Coaster. Have you heard about that on Norwegian Aqua? It's a roller coaster water slide.
I'm going to take a guess. Well, the clue's in the name.
Yeah, it's basically a water slide, but you're launched into it by a roller coaster, if that makes sense. So you're fired up 30 miles an hour on this sort of boat. You're not tied in or anything, and then you end up in this water slide, and it's all nice colors and everything. So I just imagine if I was 11. I mean, I love that as an adult, but you wouldn't get me off of that. I'd just be going round and round and round.
Yeah, you can imagine though. There's some kids that get greedy on the buffet, overloading on like sugary snacks and everything, and then they go on the aqua coaster or whatever it is,
That's
and
true.
then clean up on the.
Yeah, and in
Is
the
it a
drop
flume?
slide. Yeah, it's a pretty
Aqua
windy, normalish water slide. It's not that the actual water slide's not that fast, but it's the launch that's fast. And if you had eaten too much, and then they do have other slides. They have one where the floor drops out underneath you, and I did that one. You don't want to eat a lot and then do that.
No. I don't like those ones at all because the people that operate the handle, they always invariably they distract you, they talk to you, and then in like mid conversation they just pull it and then you're off.
Yeah, this one had a countdown, like a robotic voice, 5, 4. So you knew that it was going to happen when it happened. And it wasn't too bad because the floor comes out underneath you, but it sort of leans you backwards. So you fall back to the back wall before you go down. So you're not weightless. I think that's the thing that makes people nervous. And I get it. But it was fine. I'm not in a rush to do it again. But I have to do all these things once, right? Like at least once.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be like, it's proof of concept, guys.
Exactly.
It's fine. You can trust me. I'm living proof that I
came out. Yeah,
survived.
I came out the other side, so it was okay.
But you're not going on it as like a crash test dummy, Emma. You're not like the first in line to ever go on it. It's been tested.
Well,
many times.
It's tested, but the aqua coaster, they test it with these big. It basically is a jug of water in the shape of a human being. And for a while, we were seeing people testing it, and they were going in as a human, and then coming out the other side, we'd just see the jugs of water, because obviously they have more than one going at a time. So we were all joking that, like, this is the slide that just turns you into a jug of water. But I came back out, so it was fine. But they have little arms, little legs, like the jug does, so that it stays up in the right position. It was really cute, but yeah.
Oh wow. So you've got Captain Hudson books. You've got your blogging sort of main business. Would you call that your main business?
Yeah, I mean,
blogging stuff.
That's where I started. Was writing. Yeah, writing. Guides to here's what I ate. Here's what you have to book the shows, and that's where I started. Was that kind of thing. Still exists. I still do it a lot. People recognize my face more from YouTube. Because videos get re-edited, and it's just easier to recognize someone from a video. But yeah, writing is where I started, and I enjoy it. Sometimes it's nice just to come back from a trip and think, wish I knew this, or I wasn't prepared for that thing. So I write it down.
Yeah. Since we started this call, Emma, your frame rate for your webcam is quite juddery. It's not a big deal because the audio is the main thing.
Mine looks clear to me. That's
good. Yeah, exactly. It's the same. But this is the kind of thing I have to battle with, is that I can't do this podcast from a studio because everyone's from everywhere.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to hear stories from people before I've interviewed them because I want my reactions to the stories to be genuine.
Yes.
And not like, I've got act surprised or something, Yeah. It's the platform for everyone to share their stories from everywhere. Yeah. If you haven't listened to any of the content that I've put out over the last year, The one that sort of essentially just informs people of my ambitions, the reasons why I've started and what I hope to achieve, is a 12-minute one. I can send you a link. It's called the mission statement. So that sort of gives you a bit of an idea as to where I'm coming from with this. I'm not trying to rock the boat, but I am a little bit concerned with certain aspects of cruising in terms of the mass tourism aspects and the pollution and all of this. So, but there's also the crew welfare side of things and all of that stuff that goes completely under the radar. But what I will say, Emma, is it's nice to have somebody on who isn't actually a crew member. You're the first one.
Yes, I've seen a lot of your videos.
Yeah.
I wondered if I was the first.
You are the first. Side note, apologies, I know that that's incorrect because Peter Canego from the last episode, he was the first guest on the show to not be a former crew member, so that's incorrect. Anyway, let's carry on. End of side note. But it's important for me to, obviously diversify and not just be like, okay, crew only. Because
it's really interesting. I mean, I've not really seen anyone else doing what you're doing. And it's really interesting stories. They're so funny.
That's why I'm doing it, because I wrote my first book and realised, well, I've got loads of stories, but loads of other people got loads of stories, and they're not really allowed to tell their stories because of certain contractual rules, which is like, okay, I can now, it's 2025, work out a couple workarounds, but let's try to stay on topic because I haven't got you for long.
Okay.
With you, with your vlogging, as you said, you're reviewing the food, what itineraries to book can go on. But you've also got this cool little side business you've not long started, and it's a really nice little niche. And I was looking at the video that you posted about the inception of the idea, and well, actually the creation of the concept. And you came up with the idea, but your friends, they've kind of molded it or like actually created it.
So I don't claim to have any technical skills or to really understand how any of this stuff works. But a company that I co-founded is a company called the Cruise Maps. And we do itinerary prints that are basically, the way I describe it is the cruise ship is leaving a trail when it goes along and we draw it on the map, right? So if you go around in a circle or you get really close to a port and then you can't dock, you can see all of that weird stuff. And I think the weird stuff is the most interesting stuff. But I tried to do this years and years and years ago, had no idea how to do it. Met a couple of friends of mine who, studied naval architecture and very, very smart. So they can take what I want, what I think, and turn it into a real thing. So that's exciting. But yeah, we have launched in the last couple of months, we've launched a free website so everyone can track, they can see all of their cruises completely for free. It's called the Cruise Globe, and it is very new now. It's only a couple of months old, but there's so much coming to it. And I want to know everyone's thoughts on everything. Like, no idea is too small. Anything you'd like to see. We've got, at the moment, it's pretty much historic cruises in there. It's a list of your past cruises on this 3D globe. But we're going to have, you'll be able to add your future ones and have countdowns and see where the cruise ships are live. And I'll be able to share with you when I go on a cruise. Here, follow along with Emma on a cruise, that kind of thing. So I've been working today on these little animations we're making so people can put them in their YouTube videos. And that website's totally free. So we just want people to share it. That's what we need. So please test it out and let me know what you think.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah,
it sounds amazing.
It is awesome because nothing else like that existed.
No, but one thing I was interested to see, and I know this obviously firsthand from having worked on ships, is that, well, a lot of when you book a cruise, you always have a sea day. And a sea day isn't necessarily always warranted. It's not necessary.
No,
but
not at all.
It's part of the culture. You go on a ship, you have to have a day at sea so that you can wear your glad rags, you know, heart yourself up a bit, meet the captain, have all the nice food and all that stuff. But it's not always needed. So some ships, they'll just anchor. They'll just plop themselves in the middle of the ocean and they'll stand still. Or, like what I saw in your video, the ship is just going around and around and around and around and around.
Which
right?
you would think you would know that because you were on the cruise, but you do not know what happens when you're on the cruise. Because if you see the sea in every single direction, you have no idea, do you? But yeah, my favorite is I've done quite a few cruises from Southampton to Bruges. It does not need a sea day between Southampton and Bruges, so it goes off in the complete wrong direction.
I mean, you could swim that. You could swim that if you were a competent enough swimmer.
You wanted to. I don't want to, but yeah, I don't know how much other people are interested in this or if this is really me getting down in the detail, but I love seeing how all the cruise ships will go out into international waters for a while so they could open their shops and then come back
Casinos.
even though they don't need to. Yeah, they're sort of doing it just because people want to gamble and stuff. Yeah, I find it really interesting. And yeah, we have pretty much cruise ships started to make that data in 2015. So at the moment, we've just got 2015 onwards, but we have that so many thousands of examples of how cruise ships have gone from A to B. So we're going to just, mock up, assuming you went in a straight line, because no one wants a gap. I want to know where I went on my 2005 cruise, but it didn't exist. So yeah, we've got 25,000 users on there as of today.
Wow.
So yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, just ticked over 25,000, which is impossible to think about.
It's always got to celebrate the little milestones, and every little every little victory is worth celebrating in some capacity. What I will say though is with the ships that are just going around and around in circles, this is what kind of wound me up a little bit. Is obviously the carbon footprint is you could just it's so unnecessary to burn that fuel. Just so that a guest feels like they're on a moving ship, right?
Well, yeah, it's money as well, isn't it? And sometimes I look at world cruises that I'm never going to consider doing, but sometimes I see a very expensive one, with Viking, and a very cheap one with maybe Ambassador, and you compare the two lists, how many port days, sometimes Viking, it might have double the amount of the cheaper cruise, just because it's cheaper for the cruise ship to not pay to dock, I guess. Whereas the more expensive ones will stay in port for 3 days, that kind of thing. So... Yeah, I do get it. And I do like a sea day. I mean, I would prefer like one of those days where you dock, some people get off, maybe I don't get off. I have a sea day, but I stay, we're not sailing. That suits me fine.
Well, the holy grail for any crew member when they're working during a contract is overnighters.
Yeah.
Because they're so sick and tired of having to be on the ship all the time. They want to be able to take the night off or go ashore, hit up a club or a few bars,
Not worry, rush back, yeah.
Yeah, that because when you're on board 6-7 months minimum, you're doing that every day, 7 days a week. If an overnight comes along, you're like, hallelujah. Paint the town red, devil may care, get out there, just live it up a little bit.
No, I am. Obviously, people ask me a lot, Emma, why don't you work on ships if you like ships so much? I couldn't hack it. I'd lost a couple of weeks. I have so much respect for everyone who works on board. It's so hard. I get seasick as well, so I'd be miserable.
No way. Have you always been seasick?
Only if, if we hit a storm or there's bad weather. Most cruises, totally fine. But if I was on board, working on board, you're going to be all over doing the repositioning cruises. And but yeah, no, since I was born, I think I've just been a travel sick person. I take travel sickness medicine to go in the car, or I wouldn't go backwards on a train, that kind of thing. And people say, why do you go on a cruise if you could get travel sick? Because why do it? Like, it's worth it. The same with anything. Like, why stand up? You could fall over. Why eat food? You could choke on it. Like, obviously, it's worth it to me, right? The risk.
Yeah, good way of thinking about it. Yeah,
like I'll never do anything. Well, I'm only going to ever walk anywhere. I'll just stay in my house. No.
Yeah. No, you've got to do what makes you happy. And even if it doesn't, it's like if you're lactose intolerant. But I love cheese.
Yeah, sometimes it's worth it. Just plan your schedule and you'll be fine. Yeah. No,
I'm sure you're always there. So, but you've done cruising, well, for the vlogging so you started your website in 2016.
2016, yeah. So obviously
up to a decade.
Nearly. Obviously, the pandemic was in the middle of that, which was not great. I still had my normal day job, though. So, while everyone else was losing their jobs, I thought, sit tight, just carry on working at home. But I left that job in 2021. It was kind of a bit of a guess, when would we return to cruising? Because, it was 3 months more. 3 months more, 1 month more. They never said it's going to be 18 months, did they, at the beginning? I'm kind of glad. At least it kept us hanging on. But yeah, during that time, I know it sounds weird, but if that didn't happen, I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing now, because it gave me the chance to sit down and learn. I learned how to tell stories about old cruise lines that had gone bust or this accident that happened. And I find that stuff really interesting, more sort of making a documentary. And so when I went back cruising... Yeah, no, I mean, I just find that fun. I'm not,
Documentary, though. You're making a documentary.
no, I mean, I just find that style fun, making sort
Oh,
of,
right.
what happened, why did this happen, how did they change the industry, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
So I was able, when I came back again, to do my content sort of in that style. And yeah, if I hadn't had that time to sort of sit back and think, actually, I don't ever want to go back to that job now, once I liked my colleagues and I liked going to the pub on lunch. But when I was left with just the work that I did, I was like, yeah, I don't want to go back. So thankfully, we cruised again in May of 2021. I was on that first cruise out of the UK. That was so strange, but it was brilliant.
You're a big fan of NCL.
Well, I just got off Aqua. This is my most recent cruise. So this is from the gift shop, Norwegian Aqua. But yeah, my first cruise was with Norwegian. I've cruised with Norwegian more than any other cruise line, which is partly, I think, why I was so confused, because I cruised as a kid and a teenager with Norwegian and MSC, both very casual cruise lines. Then my parents took me on a Cunard cruise in 2016, which is the most sort of formal, extreme other end of the scale of cruising. Yeah. So I sat there and I was like, what is this? This is what people think cruising is. And it is, but it doesn't have to be like that, does it? So that's kind of why I sat down. That was on that cruise that I started my website. Just thought it would be funny. But yeah, I'm quite lucky that I think I started with very, I had no idea what a formal night is. Norwegian don't have formal nights. Dress codes, not at all. No formal nights, no. Just be dressed is pretty much it. Like, as long as you're not wearing something offensive or you're wearing shoes.
Yeah.
Like, you're fine. But I'm glad I started that way rather than starting with the more formal lines, because I don't mind dressing up, but I prefer not to have to.
But I saw on one of your videos you've been cruising mostly with Norwegian MSC and Marella.
Yeah.
Marella is that's formerly Thompson's.
Yeah, so it's British Cruise Line, all inclusive. Right. Good fun, I think.
I started my career on ships back in 2006, and Thompson's, it was Thompson's back then.
Yeah.
And I only did the Thompson Destiny, which at the time was his biggest ship. And that's all of their ships that I think were around back then. I'm pretty sure most of them have been scrapped, I think.
Yeah, the ones they have now, they're all old Royal Caribbean, old celebrity kind of ships. But I quite like those old ships. I know that they're not, you're not going to find the ice skating and everything you find on the modern cruise ships, but there's something nice about 1990s, 2,000 passengers. It just flows quite nicely. There's enough space for everybody. And
2,000, that's still a lot of people, Emma.
It kind of is, but I forget because I don't see that many people together in a room, do I?
No, yeah, it's true. When you consider, like, the boom of cruising happened around the the 90s, and like in terms of how ships started to get very big. The Love Boat was the reason a lot of people started wanting to go on cruises. That was a big part of the boom. But the ships have started to get so big now, it's ridiculous. And there's this debate about whether or not they should just kind of pack it in and stop getting too big for their boots.
Yeah.
When I was on the Silver Sea ship, the ship before that was same sort of size, talking about 500 guests, 250 crew.
Yeah.
I mean,
wow.
That was pretty, minimal amenities on board, but everyone knew everyone. And we got in and out of port so easily because we were on a little dinker. And I always remember there was this American guy. We was in Barbados, Christmas Eve, 2007, I think.
Nice.
And we were on this jetty, on this little coach that was driving us back to the ship. And, it was different passengers from different ships on this bus, taking them back to their ships. And this big stereotype of a Texan was sat next to me. And he was like, "Say there, boy, what ship you on?" And I was like, I'm on that one over there. And he was like, "What? That little piece of crap? I wouldn't board my dog there." I said, "Okay." And so he's like, "I'm over here." He's like, "I'm on this one. We like things big in America." And I was like, great.
Oh, I like a small.
He's on a ship that's just doing a little tour of the Caribbean. He's like, "Well, we've just done a world cruise."
Yeah, take that. Bigger cruise, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Bigger isn't always better.
No, I mean, I like a big cruise ship. I like a small cruise ship. The smallest I've ever done was a little barge that I went on that had 19 guests. So I've gone from 19 up to six and a half
Yeah.
thousand. And I like them all. I mean, the only thing I struggle with the really big ships, I took a cruise on Symphony of the Seas, 7 day cruise. I got off in one port and I still didn't manage to do everything on the ship because you could literally
Wow.
stay on there for 7 days and I couldn't see every entertainment and eat everything because there's so much happening, which is great. But if you want to explore, that it didn't need to sail. If it stayed still, I would have been
Yeah.
totally fine for 7 days.
That wouldn't sit well with me. Like I'm a bit of a completionist. Like, when you play Sonic the Hedgehog, you can
Yeah.
do it as quick
Yeah,
as you
can't-
like.
you
Do a
can't.
speed run. I'm
There's
like,
no
no,
way.
I want to take in the actual level and find all
Get
the
everything
secrets.
from down there. Yeah. Can't. I don't think you can. I think you need you could probably be on there for at least a couple of weeks, a month maybe before you could do everything. And it was so much fun. Don't get me wrong, we had so much fun, but I had so much fun on the ship. I don't remember anything about. I've been to every port before. That's why I booked that cruise. I wasn't planning on getting off. I didn't want to miss anything. But it's just a different way to cruise. If you're doing a very destination focused cruise, I'd pick a smaller ship. If it was, we're going to some sort of industrial ports in October, then pick an amazing ship and spend your whole time. It might be raining anyway, so you want everything to do inside.
Have you been on any ships when there's been any like technical failures or storms or anything?
I had a cruise on Ambassador that I tried to do, and it got cancelled while I was at dinner, and we had to go home again on the first day.
Oh no.
So does that count as a cruise? I'm counting it as a cruise because I got a cruise card and I unpacked, and then they basically said we can't sail away because they didn't tell us what had happened, but we found out later it was some sort of safety inspection and something with the lifeboat was not right. So I don't want it to sail. Like, I'm glad it didn't sail.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, it was in London Tilbury, so I just treated it as we got 100% refund. Of course, it was a free meal out basically for me, that cruise, and then I went home again. So
Oh, nice.
it was all right. But yeah, it was luckily it was a 3 day cruise from London Tilbury, so pretty much everyone was from close by. It's not really a cruise that you'd fly from, the States to come and do. But some people were doing a longer cruise after ours. So some people were supposed to be on board for, 3 weeks or something. That was more tricky. But yeah, for me, if any cruise was going to be cancelled, that was fine.
But I thought just sorry to be a bugbear, but isn't
What?
Tilbury Essex?
I mean, it's called London Tilbury, but so is London Dover and London Southampton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're all called that.
Yeah, we're all just one big London. That's how everyone
Yeah.
sees
I mean,
us.
London Tilbury is better than London Dover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, completely opposite end of the country
Yeah.
almost.
Not even anywhere near. But yeah,
I
it
mean,
also
like,
says Southampton's brackets Dover.
Yeah, that's a weird
I
one.
mean, yeah, brackets London.
But so we haven't gone back to it yet, and I just don't want to run out of time before. Tell me more about this Mercy ships thing.
Yes.
How did you find out about it? How did you get involved? What was your role on board, or did you have one?
Okay, so it was a couple of years ago. I was listening to a podcast completely unrelated to cruising. Someone said that they had volunteered on a ship called Mercy Ships. That was the first time I ever heard of the idea, but it sort of stuck in my mind. I thought that sounds nice, right? Sounds like a nice link with what I do on my channel. And I always try and do different things for charity on my channel. And I thought if it could be something that's within a related industry, that seems to work well, right? So we decided to create these toys of my cat, Hudson, called Captain Hudson. This one here is version number 1. And we sold, I think, 1,500 of him, that version. We have 5 versions now, and there's something like 9,000 of this cat in the world. In total, we raised now 181,000 US dollars, which is insane. But when you raise that amount of money for a charity, they start to talk to you, which is very nice of them. And they said to me, Emma, how would you like to come on board the ship to see, what that money is doing, and you can keep fundraising, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's weird to get an email that says, do you want to come to Sierra Leone? Because I travel a lot, but I'm straight away going to Google being like, where is Sierra Leone? Like, I'm not entirely sure. How do you get to Sierra Leone?
Just for the listeners' sakes,
Yeah.
please just tell us where Sierra Leone is.
There's on the west coast of Africa. right? The little
Yeah.
sticky out
Yeah.
bit on Africa. But I knew nothing about, what vaccines I would need. How do you get the money? How do you travel around Sierra Leone? Like, it's so far out of my comfort zone. But I went with a couple of people who worked for Mercy Ships. So that was great. They worked out all of our visas and everything, the different taxis and stuff. And I was on board for 6 days in Sierra Leone. What the ship is it's a purpose-built hospital ship that this charity has built. It sails to a place. Everyone who's on board is a volunteer. Some are there for a month, some are there for 6 months, some are there for 2 years. Some people I met were born on the ships. They don't have a home country because they live on the ships their whole life. And they're doing surgery for free for the people that need it. So if you think about the things that we would get fixed at home, if you had a child and their legs were bowing, we would fix it before it became a real problem, right? And they couldn't walk. Or if you have cataracts, or if you have like a tumor and you can't breathe, we take it for granted so much that we would get those things fixed, but it doesn't exist in Sierra Leone. It's not like people can't find it or they can't afford it. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. So before they get there, before the ship gets there, they already know who they, do all their outreach. They have people on the ground and they work out what they're going to do while they're there. They also train a lot of people because, they don't want to just go fix things and then leave it in the same position because that doesn't really help, does it? So they train, dentists or whatever else they need. They'll invite people on board, train them, set up places on land. And when they leave Sierra Leone, they'll leave the little center they have on land back to the people there to try and leave it in a better position than when they arrived. But they have 2 ships. Really interesting for me to be on a ship that felt familiar in some ways. It has the same, if you're in the dining hall, it feels like a cruise ship. The toilets are the same as they are on every cruise ship. The beds are the same. But if you go down on the lower decks, there's operating rooms, there's the wards, there's, rehab. We got to spend time with the kids there, out on they have time every day on the deck to like get fresh air and things. And we got to play games with them and stuff. And yeah, it was a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But it makes you feel good about humans because sometimes, the news is very doom and gloom, isn't it? But to be around hundreds and thousands of people, there's 650 volunteers on there, if I remember that rightly. No one's getting paid, even if you're top eye surgeon, whatever they're called. Everyone is there volunteering. So yeah, I got to meet a lot of really interesting people there, and
I bet.
Yeah. People from all over the place, we'd meet a guy who, I was a GP in Manchester and I decided to come across here and bring my kids because families volunteer on there. They have a school on there for the kids of the volunteers.
How big is the ship?
Well, it's like a car ferry, basically, but without the car decks. The hospital, basically. So yeah.
So it was originally a car ferry, and they remodeled it, or they.
Yeah. So this one was purpose built. The other one was converted. Right. But I'm sure they start with the design. It looks very similar to like a Stena ferry or something. They start with the design and then put in hospitals, which is really.
How is it viable for a family? Like you said, the guy was a GP in Manchester, and now he's working as a volunteer.
Yeah.
With Mercy Ships, and he's got his whole family on board. Does he live off his savings? Is he getting just food and board, so it doesn't matter? Yeah,
they don't really need much. I mean, there is some, depending on like what sort of jobs you do, how long you've been there, like they'll help people out with like spending money for stuff. But you don't really need anything because they have a canteen, they do 3 meals a day. If you want to buy more food, like in the market, you can cook it yourself in the kitchens, but you wouldn't need to. You could just eat all the food there. There's laundry there. You're not paying, to do your washing or anything like that. So obviously, people pay their like travel and things like that, as far as I know. But yeah, I think that you might save money because you're not spending money back at home on your mortgage and stuff.
Sign me up, Emma. Sign me up. I'm just writing down right now. Design a DuckTales fluffy mascot and raise money.
Yeah, no,
it's a good idea, isn't it?
It just felt like a different world. But yeah, we got to play games with the patients and things and hear about sort of their stories. And yeah, the work they're doing is fantastic. And yeah, it restores your faith in humanity that people are so nice that they'll just, because they need everything on there. It's not just doctors and nurses. You know, people are cooking, people are cleaning, people working in reception and accounting and everything you would need on a ship. They're all, you know, volunteer engineers and on the bridge and yeah.
But you said there's people who are born, like, because obviously it's a hospital ship. People who are born on the ship, they don't have a nationality.
Yeah, there's some people, I think, I mean, if your parents are both from, say, South Africa or something like that, you're South African, but they've never lived in the country that they're from. They've always lived on different ships because the ships have been around for decades and decades and decades. So, yeah, I did meet one guy who was coming off the ships to go to university on land, and that's his first time living on land. Can you imagine?
He was 18 and he was getting off the ship for the first time.
Well, he's been off the ship on land, but you know, he's never lived. He's never lived. You know, imagine learning everything, like how to get the train, how to get the ticket on your phone. Like, yeah, really, really interesting. But
have you ever seen the film Legend of 1900?
No, what's that?
Well, it's exactly what
like that.
we were just talking about. You know the actor Tim Roth?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's he's basically a newborn. They find him in the engine room.
Okay.
And it's on the first day of 1900, so they call him 1900.
Wow.
And it's I won't say anything.
Okay, sounds interesting.
It's a nice film with a nice couple of sentiments that I think you'll appreciate. And I'm not making money from promoting this movie. It came out ages ago, but I watched it. I thought, oh, that's like an interesting little kind of.
That sounds
film.
good.
I don't know. I'm a big cinephile. Like I love movies and stuff and TV shows. I can't watch everything that's ever come out about ships. Like I've never watched a full episode of Below Deck. Can't do it, Emma. Can't
Me
do it.
neither. I'm sorry, I haven't either. People get annoyed at me. I've never watched The Love Boat either.
No, I tried. I watched a few. There's a couple ones in there, and obviously, you know, kudos to them for helping the industry boom and stuff.
Yeah.
But getting the Harlem Globetrotters, Tom Hanks, Hulk Hogan, and various different celebrities.
I watched it to see who's in it and be like, but I've never sat down.
It was essentially, Love Boat was essentially like the Instagram of its day, which is like where, you know, people would do collabs with the Love Boat.
Nice.
To raise their profile, be like, oh, I've got a new book coming out. I'll go on the Love Boat, and then people would be like, oh, so-and-so, they got a new book out. Yeah, great.
Interesting. Yeah.
I watched as many films as I can, TV shows. Have you seen The Triangle of Sadness?
No. What is that? I've never even heard of that.
That won the Palme d'Or, which is like the Cannes Film Festival, like, I think most prestigious award. People are going to be screaming at you through their headphones. Oh my God, Emma, never even seen that film?
They wouldn't be surprised. I've never seen hardly any films.
It's like, do you remember the William Golding novel, The Lord of the Flies?
Yes.
It's like that, but for the modern age and via a cruise ship. Okay.
Have you seen The Simpsons on a cruise ship?
Yeah. Now that's like 30 minutes of your life.
Yeah.
And you know.
I watched a TV show yesterday. It wasn't about a cruise ship, but it was on a cruise ship, and I was shouting at the TV because it was so unrealistic.
What was that show? Was it Dexter? Oh, yeah. God.
I love Dexter, but he basically just snuck past the guards, got on the cruise ship, and then there was just, I know there's security, you couldn't have got in there, and he got off without anyone noticing. Unrealistic.
Yeah. Well, that's it. When you know as much about cruising as you do, you're going to absolutely have a go at
Also, they just opened the porthole. You can't open the porthole on any modern cruise.
No. Doesn't happen.
No.
But there was another one, was it Shipwreck? Or Wreck, it was just called Wreck. And it was like this comedy horror thriller set on a cruise ship. And I watched it. It's on the BBC iPlayer, I think. And, a lot of the episodes, I was like, that's not possible. How
exactly? I'm like, oh my God. How are you doing that? Other people would hear. They're not soundproof, these cabins.
same with the Speed. You know, the Speed. Speed 2 cruise control. Oh my God! Let's not even go down that rabbit hole.
No, we could do a whole show.
I wrote literally. I did for my second book. I wrote like a whole chapter on reviews of films and TV shows. But so I've got ones to avoid and ones to check out. For you, definitely check out Triangle of Sadness and Legend of 1900. Those are good.
Well, that sounds interesting.
And of course, the original Poseidon Adventure. If anyone hasn't ever seen that.
Yeah, I have seen it, but I don't feel I don't know. I'd recommend it to everybody.
No, but it's not possible for a ship to do that. Like, it's physically not possible. So it's a work of fiction.
That's true. I mean, I do see every time I go on YouTube, it's just AI. What if the Queen Mary 2 crashed into the whatever else? And there's just all these AI videos of things that hopefully would never happen.
What, that's coming up on your recommended feed?
They have millions of views. Sometimes it'll be 30 million views. What happens if there was a whole series of what happens if this ship hit the Titanic iceberg? And it was just one after the other. Symphony of the Seas.
Wow. Well,
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole if you want to go down there. I don't think I'd recommend that either.
I'd like to see the go-kart track,
Yeah, it literally
holds up.
yeah, like cracking and falling off. But yeah, someone's making them. Someone's making probably good money off of them. So keep it up.
There's a lot of
whoever they
money
are.
in AI. There's a lot of money in AI, Emma, but I haven't actually been on the forefront of figuring out how to use it. I mean, I used it the other day just to have a bit of fun. I kind of had the idea of what if Roy Orbison's Pretty Woman, the song, was not about a pretty woman, but about a petty woman. So I got the song lyrics just completely changed, and it was kind of perfect. AI is amazing. Maybe AI can help design me a fluffy mascot as well.
Definitely could easily for sure.
But I don't want to encroach on your turf. I mean, you've got the
No, go ahead, please.
you've got the you've got
I don't
the
want to be
monopoly.
I don't want to be the only
Hudson's-
one here.
Captain Hudson's got the monopoly. He's the one to beat. He's essentially
Crazy.
the face of cruising for doing goodwill and raising money for things like the Mercy ships. So please tell us again any of the websites that you haven't already said. You said you've got.
Yeah, I think I have I try and keep things very easy, so I'm just called Emma Cruises everywhere. So if you go to emmacruises.com, that has everything else on it. But if you're looking on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or any of these accounts, I'm just called Emma Cruises, and I'm Emma and I go on cruises.
So you're never really off a cruise. If you're not on a cruise, how long are you off a cruise for before you're on the next one?
I'm cruising less now. I think after the pandemic, I was so excited to go everywhere and do everything that I didn't allow myself enough time to get things done in between, and it was quite stressful. So now, if I say once a month, that's amount that I can manage, traveling once a month, and then I can keep up with things while I'm away. But then when I'm back, get the more hardcore work done.
If you were to take a job on board a cruise ship, if what would you do?
It's tricky because people think, because I'm on YouTube and I do live streams, that I would be fine with public speaking, but I hate that. I couldn't think of anything worse than walking out onto that stage or doing any sort of performing. Wouldn't work. So I'm not sure. I think I'd have to be some sort of just general help. I'll just help with organizing. I'll print out the daily schedule.
The cruise news,
I'll do stuff like that, like organizing things. I'm very organized, but public performing. I don't play any musical instruments really, or I can organize people, tell people where to go, hand out the stickers.
You've got obviously jobs under your belt that you've done before, so you can take that into any role. But when I started on ships, I had literally one job, and that was pushing trolleys at Asda. And so I don't know how.
Asda too.
Yeah, I was a trolley wally.
The trolley one was hard. I didn't like being on the trolleys. I couldn't do more than. Well, they said don't do more than this amount, 12. But we all tried to push it.
12 was the amount.
12. No, I never did 12.
I was like, are you seriously? 12? That was the minimum? Well, the maximum. Oh. I was pushed it. I
think I was less than 10. Otherwise, they twist. Hey, stop them twisting.
Yeah, but you had to kind of, like the old video game Snake on the phone, the Nokia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got to keep an eye on your tail and you've got to keep an eye on the front.
But there's cars parked there.
And it's sort of kind of like a ship when it's hugging and sagging, it's twisting in the middle. So you've got to get in the middle of the whole trolleys and make sure that you're kind of, able to. Yeah, it was. I got up to, I can't remember what my personal best was back in the day. Probably around 25 or something, 30.
You beat me. I think I was less than 10.
But hey, working as a trolley wally essentially got me the job on board because they asked me in my application when I started. This was way back 2005 when I applied.
Yeah.
What previous experience have you got working within the entertainment industry? And I was like 18, 19 or something stupid. I just finished college. And so I just was like, well, obviously I haven't done anything in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Made a joke out of it. I said, I've had extensive experience working with trolleys in Asda car park for the past 2 years. And that got me an interview, and I made the guy laugh in the
Not a
interview.
lie.
No,
It's good.
I got the job based on that. So, fake it till you make it.
Perfect. Why not?
But you've got another call that you need to jump on now, I believe.
Yes. No, thanks very much for having me. It's been nice to talk to you.
What's the call you've got to jump on now? Is it stuff to do with the books?
No, it's to do with cruise maps, to do with our animation that's coming out soon. So hopefully soon everyone will be able to put in their YouTube videos and, it goes nicely into 3D and your ship will like wiggle through the fjords or whatever. It looks, I'll send you an example later. It looks good.
Awesome. Well, best of luck with everything, Emma. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time this afternoon.
Right.
Thank you very, very much. Happy Easter.
Yes, it is. I forgot all about that.
I know, and I don't normally say things like that for any episode because time is irrelevant, as this won't come out until a few weeks' time.
You can have an Easter egg any time of the year.
Exactly, right?
I've been eating them since January. Right.
Have a good one, my dear. All the best.
Bye.
Safe travels. Bye-bye. So there you have it. That wraps it up for this episode of Deck Tales. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've been entertained by the tales of laughter, camaraderie and the occasional stormy sea, then don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment. There are lots of other shows out there to compete with, so if you are enjoying Deck Tales, why not help us out by going over to Spotify or Apple and dropping us a 5-star rating. This will boost the show's visibility and help to attract new listeners every week. Before I sign off, if you'd like to share your own stories for future episodes, then I'd love to hear from you. Simply get in touch over the socials because after all, the best stories often come from our listeners. As we navigate through the waters of life, remember to enjoy the journey as much as the destination, as well as those you choose to share the adventure with. I've been your Captain Sammy Catlin. Until next time, fair winds, smooth sailing, and may your adventures be as unforgettable as those shared here on Deck Tales. Bon voyage!